Hey folks, welcome back to Game Geeks. I'm your host, Kurt Wiegel. Today's episode, the science fiction toolkits for Savage World. Now you'll see I have one of my industry standard black binders here with nice printouts. This is because I got this as a PDF. These books are specifically engineered on how to use the Savage World game for a specific mythos, milieu, or genre of gaming. Now there's a variety of these. There's the fantasy companions, there is science fiction, there is horror, pulp, there are more on the way. Essentially, these show you various ways that you can use the Savage World's rule set for a specific type of gaming. What are in these toolkits? Well, what you have to start with are the World Builder Toolkit, which sort of helps you build your setting from the ground up. They tell you right up front, this is not a quick fix. This does not provide you with a world. What this does is it allows you to sort of build in your own ideas. Now, you could completely ape one of your favorite established properties, Firefly, Star Trek, Star Wars, Terminator, any one of those you want, or you can build yours from the ground up. For example, as I was reading through this, I started building up my own sort of science fantasy game where the players are sort of like in a science fiction version of David Eddings' Tamuli and Elenium book series. If you haven't read those, go out, I recommend them. So that's just the sort of ideas that it gets spinning for you. It gives you ways to use the baseline technology, FTL, what is there, psionics, individual planets, organizations. It's a great toolkit for this. It gives you a lot of good examples along the way. The next thing in the binder here, my order I'm reviewing them in, is the bestiary, in case you didn't have enough sci-fi critters to throw at your players. Now, the bestiary itself deserves a quick flip through because it's got some really good stuff. It's got some killer plants, which is called, well, a needle bush. You've got the pendulum bird. It gives you sentient vehicles, psi boosters, rad beasts, and then toward the end, it gives you your basic crews or your basic human types or barely non-human types that you can interact with. Another thing this gives you is a very nice way of engineering your own races or your own species for your players to interact with. And it gives you some pluses, some minuses. You want to balance it out to a number between, somewhere between +2, which is what it gives you for the baseline in most Savage Worlds game, to up to about a +5 or 6 is pretty reasonable. Above that, you get into some pretty super-powered stuff. Benefits and hindrances as well. Last up is the Science Fiction Technology Toolkit, or the Gear Toolkit. What's embedded in this is basically all of the widgets, thingamajigs, tools, equipment you could ever want for a sci-fi game, including ways of building and customizing your own spaceships, if that's the sort of sci-fi game you really want. And it took me a second to wrap my head around that. Like, what is sci-fi without spaceships? Well, you could have something like X-Files, something like White Wolf's Trinity, and just be located on one planet. There's a lot of sci-fi that does not include spaceships. So once I got past that, it was okay. Cyberware and cyberspace combat. It also gives you ideas for power armor and mech, or mecha, depending on what sort of genre you really want. After reading the mecha, I thought, you could really apply some of the stuff from the Necessary Evil, and you could really make a Transformers game out of using Savage Worlds. That's one of the nice things about the entire Savage Worlds toolkit line, and we'll be reviewing more of those as the series goes on. And some of the established books is you can really bring in different pieces and click them together very usefully. For example, you could use some of the mecha rules from this, use some of the robot rules in this as well, apply some of the powers from the Necessary Evil book. You've got Transformers right there. Very useful, very applicable sorts of ideas and settings. These really got my mind working in terms of what was good, what you could really use, what I could use for this and stick that in there and use this widget from here and build my own really interesting game. Like I said, these are toolkits. These are not intended to be the be-all, end-all for you to just, look, it's a complete setting. Thunk. If you want that, they have plenty of really good sci-fi settings out there. They've got Necropolis, which is done by Triple Ace Games. You've got Slipstream, which is done by Pinnacle Entertainment Group, the ones who produce Savage Worlds itself. So there's a lot of options for you if you want a sci-fi game, or you can build your own using these toolkits. I highly recommend these if you like Savage Worlds and if you want to sort of build your own setting from the ground up. I kind of like doing that. It gives me some neat ideas and allows my players to have a lot of input in the process too. For Game Geeks, I'm your host, Kurt Wiegel. Good day and good gaming.